What's the deal, my people? You know it is Don Tony Teflon. I'm back at you with another one. What up to everybody rocking with us on a Sunday, Monday if you're in Australia or somewhere else overseas and stuff. This is an improv duel from Seizures. I told y'all before I was going to stream twice a week. Sunday will be the day. This will not be the exact time. We'll push it back a little bit later. But I am here early because I have a good friend of mine we've been in contact with. She's watched the stream, and after she watches the stream, she watched the show for the first time. Now she's hooked, and now she wants to talk about the show. She's a really good friend of mine, and so I said I will stream with her right now. Sorry about the way I'm dressed, but I'm going back to the gym. I already did one session in the gym for an hour. I've got to go back and do a 2 a day, so I'm going back to the gym as soon as this is over. So that's why I'm dressed like this. All right, so don't look at me all crazy and stuff like that. But let's bring her on. She's the one. She's only. It's Lauren from Lauren's Corner.
Hi.
Wait, we have to get the reaction. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm here. Straight out of Mental I Hate Us.
What's going on?
Not bad. I'll be going back into mental health sabbatical after this. Unless you keep me coming, because like I love this show. I'm so addicted now.
That is awesome.
What are you talking about? Not being dressed appropriately? You look fine.
Well, thank you. You know, normally I'm not dressed more than this T-shirt and stuff and everything. But let's say what up to people in the chat room. We got Captain Obvious is in the building rocking with us right now. Michelle Hayes is in here rocking with us right now. Fembot is in here. Karma is up in here rocking with us. I told you I'm dropping from videos every day. I'm not playing when I say that's the truth. TNX is in the building rocking with us. Dave S is in the building rocking with us. A bunch of people are here. We will talk more about it and stuff like that. We'll give you some more shots and everything else like that and all that. All right, Lauren, you just finished it and everything else.
Yep.
What's your initial thoughts on the season as a whole?
Holy shit. Okay, so just to give people a rundown, so I have a creative industries background. I have a BA in honors BA in English Studies, and I have a master's in publishing as well. I have a lot of creative media kind of experience, and I've been taught a lot about how television shows work, intros, cold intros, things like that, all themes and whatnot. And so I know this. So for me, watching something like this, it was absolutely intense. I was a little bit nervous when I started watching it, and it says from the makers of Lost. I'm like, oh no, please don't make this great and then tank it later.
I think a lot of people felt that way too.
But I love the opening of this. If you do not nail a TV show's opening, you're getting nowhere. And I mean, they nailed it with, your basic VFX and then your practical ones. They laid out what was going to happen, all the things, all the characters, just dunking you in was beautiful. And I'm instantly picking up on symbology. I'm like, oh, the tree, oh, the ravens, oh, this. And at a certain point, I started taking notes. I had to. So good. I love.
Because we have Captain Obvious, and she's saying that on episode 5 of season 1, but I'm lost. I'm still lost, but I'm loving it. So maybe that's the way you felt and stuff like that too. So, and that's why you needed to take notes. But with Captain Obvious, if you do have a question and you're lost about something, please put it in the chat right now, and I will answer this question. I'll try to explain everything the best I can. We do have a question from Fembot Mo. Do you think the monsters are ravishing the people for sustenance, or is it just for fun?
Both.
You think it's both?
Absolutely both.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, number one, we have a thing on this channel now. I do not believe that monsters. We refer to them as monsters. That's fine. That's whatever people want. That's easier that way. I believe that it's all aliens, and this is alien activity. I have a chip challenge, a one chip challenge that's been going on since last year. So when we figure this all out, if I am wrong, I will eat the one hottest chip in the world live on stream, which I don't plan on eating because I'm going to be right when it's all said and done. But I do agree with you when I'm saying that they're eating people for both reasons. I don't know about substance. It does seem more like a game. They don't run. They walk on purpose. They seem to be into scaring people, and they could attack people much faster. And we've seen them move quickly. When we've seen the father get killed, they move very quickly when they got him. So they can do that, but it seems to be a game to them.
It does, but depends what you mean by sustenance. Are they feeding on the flesh? Are they invoking a high factor amount of fear to create a certain amount of chemicals in the body that then they can ingest from the flesh, and then, you know, that creates a sustenance for them? They are that sort of monster. They're not vampires, right? But they could be emotional energy type vampires in a way, you know, not actual practical vampires. I actually think, you know, that they're either a version or a mixed compilation between skinwalkers, a Wendigo, and potentially like a Leviathan type thing. The way they shapeshift, the way they walk, the way they imitate voices and use their voice to create attraction, it's very much in line with that of a skinwalker, who will basically take the skin of a person and walk around in it, you know, to create and entice their victims. A Wendigo eats the flesh to persist. A Wendigo is eating the flesh so that they can have eternal life in some way, but it turns them savage. A Leviathan is like an old ancient kind of god that would like eat all the sinners and would chase the people and cause fear and destruction. It was one of Christianity God's old creations. I mean, the thing about this show is that there's a multitude of theologies in here as well. It's not just black and white. This is what this is, and this was what that is. It is a cultural mix. Like even the monsters. I mean, it could be even a old Celtic monster called, I think it's called a Draugr, which is basically what they are. It looks like what they are. I can't remember the old folk tale for it, but I know the word for it. And they have the same kind of teeth, the same kind of look. They look human, they talk human. They're a type of fae, you know, but there's not a kind of, in Celtic mythology, there's not really a kind of good fae, bad fae. It's just all fae.
There are
So
a lot of people who believe this fae theory, and that's a popular theory, that it's fae, that it's a face fairy. Now there are so many, like 20 different types of fairies, and people are never specific about it. In fact, I think the problem with the theory is that people are combining different aspects of this fae. Oh, this taking this one from this one, this one from this one, this one, and melding them all together. Now, I'm not saying that the show can't be doing that. But if you're saying specifically it's going to be a specific type of thread, you have to be accurate about it. I would say that, so Captain Obvious says, I think they all died. They died or in purgatory. So the reason why I would clap back on that and say that that's not the case is because they actually asked Father Kotchery this question in the show. And he specifically said that that's not the case, that she's not the first one to ask this story. Right, because we also see Tabitha put this on the wall, and when they start writing stuff on the wall and say these are questions in the bag, one question she puts, the biggest one she puts there is, did we die? Right, so the fact that they put that in the show makes me believe that they are not dead and they are not in purgatory. It is not that. So that's the only reason why I would say if anything on that wall to me is not, it's not going to be. I think that sometimes what shows do is they think that they know that the questions that certain people are going to ask and they answer them before they get a chance to answer, so that you know. So the purgatory thing is that. Now, someone just became a member of the channel. I'm sorry that I missed your name, but thank you so much for subscribing to the channel.
yay.
Put your name in the chat and say it was me. I'll definitely shout you out and everything else. But thank you so much for that. So you brought up a lot of different things, right? And everything else and stuff like that. Yeah. So let's go through some. So first, let's talk about the vampires. So we can't consider them vampires because we see when Pornstash does get eaten by the woman, the number one thing he says to her is that you're warm. And then she says specifically, what did you think I was going to be cold? So if that was the case, they're vampires. You know, vampires are always cold. They don't have running blood through their veins, so it's not going to be. So that dispels the vampire thing. Not saying they couldn't be drawing some things from it and just doing a melting pot of things and everything else from there. But you also mentioned a couple of other things. So let's go through the things you mentioned. What did you say? Wendigo, a skin changer. What exactly? Because people don't understand what a skin changer is.
Skinwalker is a Native American, like kind of shaman or witch of some sort that has chosen this path of wearing other people's skins. They can change into different shapes of animal, and walk about as a human and use their skin to bring in their victims, or to take their victims, and taunt those who are searching for their loved ones that have disappeared because of them. They wear these kind of skins to move around easier. And they are known in Native American culture to be extremely dangerous. The Wendigo is, I'm not entirely sure the origin of the Wendigo. It's definitely an American perception. I think it's somewhat in balance with the Skinwalker, except the Wendigo is more of a normal human that chooses to eat flesh, kind of like cannibalism, and does it over a prolonged period and turns into a brutalistic kind of animal type, but still kind of has their wits about them. I think it's like a blend of that. It seems like that to me. The other thing to put against the vampire theory is, traditionally in most romantic period vampires or old novels, like the vampire would need to be kind of invited in. But the difference is in the show is that it's the talismans that are keeping them out. If we didn't have the talismans, they'd be in all the buildings, they'd get in no problem. It is the talisman itself, it's a protective runic symbols that are on there that's keeping them out. I've not been able to track down the exact runes that are on there. I've tracked down a couple, but it's definitely something that keeps them out. Absolutely. So I wouldn't say they were vampires. And plus, what we know of vampires is they're more likely to take the blood. And the other thing about these monsters, we'll call them monsters, is that they take the tongue out first before they do anything, so that their victims cannot speak. And if these people are, say, in a Schrodinger's cat kind of position where they're alive and dead at the same time, then if they take that tongue out, their victim cannot speak. Their victim cannot say to them and use their words against them, their screams, etc. They cannot pull on the humanity that was in with them, because you do see some humanity in these monsters. I mean, you look at the girl who is mucking about with porn stash, and she basically says, I didn't choose to be this way. I was made this way. There was a sort of human aspect in there that was frustrated, but also embraced the monster that was in her. It's almost like a kind of a curse, if you will. Like a kind of, they've been cursed to be this way, and they're compelled to do things like that. It seems some have their wits more about them than others. But again, there's still a lot of cross kind of cultural theology that's mixed into here that you could call upon. Or you could also say that all the cultural theology is just all the same in different ways and stories told. And we'd be going back to talking about like the Younger Dryas event, or like Babylonia and things like that. All those like cultures, we share stories with them, flood myths, etc. And these monsters, this whole thing has a cacophony of just these philosophies and theology. It's hard to kind of pin down. I would just say that the writers are taking an amalgamation and smashing them together, and I don't think we'll get a clearer view until like season 2, at least episode 1 or 2. I think they might drop some more hints in.
Yeah. It could be longer than that. It could be depending on how long the show is going to run. But I agree with a lot you're saying. JS, skull to you, my brother. Skull to my brother, JS Hogerson in here.
Slange in Scottish. Slange.
Big Daddy P 1980. So what did they do before the Talismans? We know a lot of people, how did they survive? So they used to hide under the ground. If you see in the episode when Boyd first got there, they showed exactly what they did. They hid under the ground. They had underground bunkers that they would hide under there and just hide from them. It wasn't until Boyd is the one who discovered them from being in the cave. He went out looking for stuff in the woods, and they became nighttime and they chased him and he fell into the cave, and that's when he discovered the talismans. Talking about the talismans too, do you think that it's actually the symbols on the talismans or the rock itself that's protecting people from
A bit of both.
creatures?
I mean, if you look at where he got them from, it looks like an altar to me. You know, I'm not entirely sure why there would be a cavity in the altar if it was trying to lock something in. You know, because if you can keep something out, you can keep something in. You know, the talismans themselves have the what is called in the runic symbols Anzus, which is like the downward F with the two strokes.
Mm-hmm.
This one has three, and I'm not entirely sure about what that means, but I do know that this one is closely associated with Odin. It's basically means a message from the gods. It also has synonyms like revelation, signs, vision, insight, knowledge, communication, etc. So, like a message from the gods could be, in this case, stay away. You're not welcome here. Kind of like a witch, and also we'll get to the whole witches thing as well, because there's a lot of that in here, where you'd form a ring of salt or a ring of protection, and that would keep anything out and keep anything in unless it was broken. The other symbols on there, the other one is like an ingwaz, which is like two X's together, which usually is a symbol of like fertility, sexuality, potential energy, and family lines and ancestry, which I also think, because you can also see like, if you look at it properly, there's like a human on top and a human on bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the sun and the moon on the top. It reminded me of the alchemy saying, as above, so below. You know, everything is the same. It would fall in line with Schrodinger's cat as well. You're alive and dead at the same time, or different reality theories. I think the stone is a definite protection stone, and it's a lock as well, to keep things in and to keep things out.
Let me find a picture of the talisman. I know I have a good picture of it somewhere. I know I have a picture of this damn talisman. Keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah. So I would think that the show is very heavily based around family lines, around communication, around mental health. Everyone that ends up in the town is a broken person. They're all broken in some way, whether it's a broken family, broken spirit, broken mental health. You've got PTSD. You know, Boyd's wife had PTSD. You could see it. You could see Sarah was mentally unstable. She had some psychopathy. And later in the show, you see more kind of symbology. Like when they get to about episode 10, I know I'm going ahead. You've got the bottles in the trees, which really I was like, witch stuff. This is my area of expertise. Yes. But there's the runic symbols made me think about how, you know, in America, if the if this place they're in is based in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings got to America before Columbus. We know that now. We had a lot of the natives were there obviously before the Vikings. And then you had a lot of the Celts coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got all our Scottish people, and then all the other cross cultures that would come into America, and this was kind of formed. These Fs here, I don't know what the third strokes is, right? I cannot find the symbol for it. There are different versions of the runic language. I do have a rune book. I don't know where the fuck it is. I've lost it. Of all the times I've wanted to have it, and now I don't know where it is. But yeah, you've got the two people you can see.
Yeah, I'm looking. It's like a
one
person
above,
on top, one on the bottom, right?
Yeah, and then you've got that symbol. If you look at it, the two X's where their feet meet, and then the arms come out. Like that's that family lines history. But for me, when I first looked at it, it looked like a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's runic symbols there, I was thinking about Yggdrasil, the world tree,
Mm-hmm.
to the heart tree that connects all the different worlds, Midgard and Jotunheim and all of that, together. At the start of the show, you see the broken tree. You see the broken tree. You see the crows, the ravens, which are usually associated with Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Dark words on dark wings.
Yeah.
Um,
When
that
I look,
also,
when I look
I think,
here, I see
I
that this right here looks like the sun rising,
yeah.
and this
You've
looks
got the
like the
sun and the
sun.
moon.
I think it could be sun setting, moon. You want to go with that? This is like a sun rising.
Yeah,
You want to say this
sunset,
is sun
sunset, sun and
setting,
moon, sunset. So sunset, sun up, there everything's fine. Sunset is when the monsters come out. You know, there's a
yeah,
different time for different things. So as above, so below. So if we've not yet got a chance to see the monsters side of things.
mm,
Um, could they be the inverse of the characters that live in the town above? Because they live below the town. Um, it's I definitely feel that this is a protective thing. They're not allowed out during the daytime. We've not been given a reason as to why they are maybe allergic to sunshine.
and that would be lead more into the vampire thing that it
Yeah.
could be. Big Daddy's asking, the crows are so important. Why do you think we see the rat eating the crow? So he's talking about the trail that we've seen. If you ask me about it real quick, I would say that if that crow is underground, and we know that they're underground, crows don't live underground. So to me, it had to be taken there. So I think that one of these creatures actually caught this crow and brought it underground there, because I think the crows, there are two different things going on here, right? So we know we have the monsters that are killing everybody. We have that. But the person that's speaking to Sarah is not the monsters. The one that's guiding Sarah, putting the stuff in her arm, telling her to go, that's not Sarah. That's something else. Now, I speculated that from the trailer, it's the guy that looks like Jesus, that guy that we clearly can see if you look at the picture of him, that he's chained to the wall. I think it was him that was sending that. So I think that I think that could be three different people. So if that guy is good, there's somebody controlling the monsters that's above them, that's doing it, that's putting all this plan into motion, right? So because it's not just the monsters. You have the monsters. Then you have Sarah, the person that's communicating with Sarah seems to be on their side. They're saying crazy stuff to her, but they seem to be on the side, because we've seen them save Sarah and Boyd at one point when they went inside, when they were about to get whatever was going to happen to them, and told them to go in the faraway tree. All of a sudden, first it was the voice, and she says it's not the same voice this time. It was a different voice, the one that was telling them to go back, don't stay. And then we seen after that, that's when Boyd got grabbed up by seen his wife covered in spider webs and everything else like that. So there's a couple there. ZZ Top is what we call it. The ZZ Top man. Yeah, because exactly correct. So yeah, I think it's something like that. I think there's two different peoples here and everything else. Above the kai, from above and below, from the kai. I don't know what that means. So
As
that's
above, so below. I
huh?
don't know what the Cablion
Yeah,
is.
I don't know what Cableon means. I don't know what that is.
Someone mentioned about the rat eating the crow. So the crows are usually a symbol of death. They're a symbology of death. Usually death, the afterlife, wisdom, intelligence, adaptability, uh, prescience, fortune, destiny, transformation, and the future. So we've got a lot of things that align with the show. The rat itself is usually a representation of fertility, reproduction, and wealth, abundance, etc. So if we juxtapose those, again, you've got night and day. At nighttime, the death of the sun, it's the darkness. It's just as dark as the crows. The crows were overhead of the dead tree. The dead tree could be a family tree representation of what is dead, what is broken, what is gone. And they are looking out for who to take in. The rats itself need to feed. They need to eat to stay alive and have, sustainability. and they feed off each other. So basically, that's goes both ways.
But the
The
crow
rat is the
is
crow.
underground. So the crow has no business being under there. It didn't fly in there and get stuck in there, most likely. I mean, it most likely got dragged in there. Because every time we see someone stay there, the crows are above head, right? We see the log fall. Every time the log's in the crows are there watching and stuff, right? So we get to the super chat in 1 second. Luna, thank you so much.
Yep.
Blessed Life says the boy in white told them to go on tree. Yes, the boy in white did tell them, but that wasn't the voice she heard. Before that, she says there's another voice telling us to go back. And it's not the same voice that was talking to her earlier. It's not the same voice that was there. So she had this voice that told her to kill Ethan or kill the boy, it said. She's thinking that it's Ethan. It could have been the boy in white, the one who left the symbol on the arm. And that's the same voice that allowed her to took possession of her and had her draw the picture of the candy bar for the father. And now, so you have that same voice, and said that voice said that if she killed the boy, everybody can go home. That's why she wanted to kill Ethan, wound up killing her brother instead. After that, when they're walking out there, there's another voice out there, and she goes, this is a different voice, and it's telling me to go back. So that's two different voices that's communicating with her at the time. And I will say that the thing that you can see from these people is the people that can communicate with these people are the people who have the seizures. Everyone who's had a seizure has been able to communicate with these people, so it has something to do with that. But let's take this super chat. Thank you so much, Luna. It says, Joseph Campbell theorizes humans are linked by a collective consciousness, universal archetypes. The writers are not basing the story on one cultural belief. Lauren, what are your thoughts on this?
I love this theory. I mean, I love Jungian psychology. Carl Jung was one of the best psychologists we had when it comes to really delving into the mind of the unconscious human, what we are, what we become. I do believe we have like a linked collective consciousness. It's basically how we can sense other people. Some are more sensitive than others. People who have I believe firmly that people who are hypersensitive or have like a sensitivity to being too in big crowds and can't deal with it because it's overwhelming, it's because they're sensing everybody. I get like that. I'm around too many people, it's too noisy, but I can feel everybody in the room. Even if I'm nowhere near them, I'm in a corner somewhere by myself, I can still feel them and I need to leave. The collective consciousness and universal archetypes are something that you find, again, as I said, in theology, in myths, in philosophy, in culture that's been passed down over the centuries. And I do believe that this is something that the writers are honing in on, while also using a lot of the stuff that they took from Lost. They've still got that very much suspenseful but very relatable kind of horror aspect. They're using a lot of theology, as I said, and philosophy, and I absolutely love that they're just openly discussing lots of scientific theories as well and melding them as a sort of alchemy. Because Jung himself used a lot of alchemic theories to help him work through his own psychology, education, academics, etc. So again, that as above, so below really comes into play. The old alchemic thing of turning lead into gold was a process that was very much in metaphor. And that metaphor, essentially, as Jung sees it, is to turn yourself from this lead piece and go through all the trials and go through all the experiments and go through all the steps and being broken and being put back together, being distilled and then reimbursed into something else, and then becoming this piece of gold of a human, of your absolute potential, your archetype potential, and being in balance with the shadow self and your actual self, and making that a whole, so you have that balance as above, so below. This is very much a part of this TV show. It's so beautiful to see. I love philosophy. I'm such a nerd. I mean, I could like go on about this all day. But yeah, if anyone has any other questions about this, like I would absolutely look absolutely recommend, if you're going to continue watching from into season 2, do look up some Jungian psychology. I look up mythology on Norse mythology, Celtic stuff, and a lot of kind of witchy Wicca type things, because that's what's in here in spirituality. And I think there's some Muslim details in here as well. You see a picture of the Hamza hand in the cave underneath the house, which is the big red thing, which is a symbol of protection. Usually put on keychains, and if you steal something, you're cursed. Basically, it's like a kind of cursing protection kind of symbol with the it's like a hand with the eye in the middle of it, the all-seeing eye. But yeah, definitely, you've got all the different archetypes. You've got your hero, you've got your leader, you've got your mother, your shadows, which are all the monsters, and everything's there.
So chess players, baby, says we need to focus on whoever's on the radio at the end of season 1. That person will be key to know. So I did a video on this, and I actually broke down the voices. That's 2 voices on that radio. The initial person comes on that they speak to, that they contact, and then somebody comes on there and takes over and says, whoa, Jim, you need to tell your wife to stop digging. Now, to me, I mean, I don't know if it's someone that we know, and you can't go by the actual voice, because we know that the one person that was communicating was a woman's voice, and it was trying to sound like Boyd's wife, right? Just try to get to these people. And we know that these monsters have the ability to do that, because when Jim's daughter is being chased into the house, she said the monster's Julie. The monster says her name and says, Julie, you don't remember me? And then she stops and she looks back at him. She squints her eyes at him, and they drag her inside the house. So somehow these monsters know everything about people, and they have the ability to do these mimicking and stuff like that, mockingbird type situation going on. So it's hard to tell who that voice is. The voice sounds like, to me, like the bartender that's in there. When I listen to that voice, when he goes, whoa, Jim, it sounds like the bartender. We know the bartender didn't go to the thing. He told him not to go. The bartender did have the radio where Jade got the radio from. He had that in his bar. He could have another one in there. And I do believe that there could be some type of mole that's in that situation, that's in there amongst them, monitoring this whole situation and everything else. So
I saw a theory the other night there. I can't remember who it was, but they said there was a sort of Viking kind of or Norse mythology representations of Freya and Freyr, which are the brother and sister of night and day, basically. And I was sitting thinking about it, and if there is a mole in there, and they're basically in this other dimension, this place, I personally think it's got different levels to it. So the explanation that I would give for the radio, the voices speaking through Sarah, is that when you die in the town, in this area, you actually wake up in another level of the thing, like a labyrinth, basically, or like Dante's Inferno, where you've got all the different levels of hell, or purgatory. You jump into another one, but there's a way you can communicate between them. I think that's something to play on, and that would explain the lights in the house flashing in Morse code, because that's what they're doing, or the radio's coming on in the diner, that spirit activity, that's again reading back to like spirit activity and playing on that. And then you've got the electricity thing. So what's producing the electricity, etc. The Freya thing, I believe that there's one in each, and they're playing their parts, watching over the town. I haven't quite worked out who the mole is, but I could probably say the barman's probably one of them. But all in all, I'm pretty fucking intrigued by it.
All right, let me go through these. Another super chat, Mike Parker. Thank you. I really like the show. I really feel that the show is basically going to be what Lost was supposed to be. So there could be it could be, but I don't think that shows growth in a writer. So the fact that they did Lost, I don't think they're going to go back and do the same thing over that they've done already. That shows no growth as a writer. And I don't think writers like to do that. So I understand why you would think that, but I just can't, me personally, go with that because I think they would have learned their lesson from Lost and they're trying to do something better than that. But not the entire, could be. I'm not saying, but that's just me. And we have another, let me get this up here. Big Daddy saying, do you think they turn into monsters to toy with everyone, to lure them? They just mess with their minds. Let's be honest, they don't have to look like Ice Cream Man to be creepy. So it's hard to tell exactly what's going on here. We see that they're all in some type of period costume when they come out, right? So we have the Ice Cream Man, we have the bride, we have the old school cheerleader. We also have Smiley. They call him the Smiley Monster. I call him Howdy Doody. But on set and on the credits, he's the Smiley Monster. This guy looks like the goddamn Joker, right? So they're all
That's
set.
the creepy ginger bastard I was talking about.
He is the creepiest one of them all. I tell him I don't like him at all. That's the one I don't like.
No, I don't like him either. That smile does not need VFX. It's just there. Like, imagine that while you're being intimate and you just want to run away.
Yeah, and I don't think it's Ice Cream Man. I think that's the Milkman. I think it's a Milkman costume.
Yeah, it's a Milkman.
It's not the Ice Cream Man. It's a Milkman costume. I think it's from the 50s or 40s that Milkman costume is from. We looked it up. So it's from back in the day and stuff like that. So there has to be something dealing with these periods. Why are these people stuck in these outfits and always come out in these outfits? And why do they look like this? Now, it's hard that we can't tell right now, but there has to be a reason. We have to figure this out. Luna again has a question. Let's go with it. She says, do the communications with cause the seizures, or are the seizures a prerequisite to being able to communicate with the monsters? You can't tell. In all honesty, you can't tell. I mean, you could. What do you think? But you can't tell.
I think it puts the person into a state of REM sleep, or to activate the amygdala right at the base of the spine here, so that there can open pathways in the mind that would normally block that out, and create a signal, basically like the tower, it reached a certain point in it, but the body can only handle so much. And if another soul's touching into another soul, it creates kind of we're going back to the electricity thing, and it creates like a field. If you're touching solid matter, you're going to get electrocuted, and it causes a sort of seizure. I mean, you can ask anybody who's had seizures, and majority of them will tell you that they've seen something or experienced something. I mean, I've been there. I usually, if I have a seizure, I have NES, so non-epileptic seizures. And usually when I'm in them, I'm gone. Like there's no response from me. My body is fitting like Sarah's doing. But I'm taken to a different place, and I'm communicating with people, or I'm put in a position where I'm made to believe I'm somewhere else, until I realize that that's not the case, and I come round. I think there's a thing with Sarah, the boy, and I can't remember who the other person is.
Victor had seizures. Victor had the seizures. Sarah had seizures. Ethan had seizures, and then the new black guy in the commercial, in the trailer, he has a seizure too when he gets there too. So
I think for Victor, he's probably autistic and has some sort of brain difference or something that makes him more perceptive to what's going on. He doesn't have to suspend his disbelief. He believes, just like the Matthews boy, I think Ethan, believes. He's very much into fantasy, kind of Lord of the Rings adventure. Sarah has that hopeful kind of mentality. There's that very childlike presence about them that seems to interact differently with the world compared to the other adults. Because you would expect Victor. Ethan says, "Oh, why do you have a lunchbox? Like you're a grown man, you're drawing in crayon." He's like, So, what's it matter? And he has that very childlike thing about him, but he's still wise enough to follow that. Where an adult be like, "I'm not doing that. That doesn't make sense. It's not logical."
I agree. Let me say, so my mother's here. Let me say what up to my mother. Hi,
Hi,
Mom.
Mama.
I hope everything is good with you. K Dizzle, it says, Dizzle says, I think they are a form of Fae closely related to the Lord. All right, so we talked a little bit about these Fae situations, and
Oh, the
everyone's
plot.
thinking,
Yeah, that's it.
right, and people closely related to the Irish sloth. Right? That's what people, I've heard this before, and I'm not telling you that it's not. I don't believe in it. I just don't think that when we deal with certain things, aspects of this show, to me, it's not there. Now, to other people, if it is, in my last video, I've given you two things that do point towards that. So if it is something that points towards that, I will definitely put it out there. I'm not going to say stuff just so it looks like I can be right. If I'm wrong on this, then I'm wrong. I just don't see how the faraway trees and all that. To me, the faraway tree is a teleportation device that's disguised as a tree to blend in.
Right. I actually have a good metaphor for the faraway trees. When you're in a fantasy RPG game and you need to fast travel somewhere, that's what they are like. But there's not really any control. You don't have control over it. But again, when I saw those trees, I thought of Idrisil, the heart tree, the world tree, and being connected to different points and traveling through it. Apparently, there's a book or an old cartoon or something called the Faraway Tree. But
Yeah, there's a book, a Faraway Tree book. It's about people who lived on this tree. It's basically a tree that has a whole town on it and people living on the tree and everything else. So, but there is a book about that, and I did look that up and everything. To me, I just think that it's the faraway tree is a teleportation device that is disguised as a tree, so it blends in. I think that's more technology. It's like when we deal with the electricity not working and working without stuff being plugged in. To me, that doesn't seem anything to deal with any fairies, any fae. That seems to me some alien type situation of people experimenting on situations. I think the people who are sending the Morse code, the people who are turning on the radio, are on their side. I don't think that those people aren't on their side. I think those people are on their side, but then you have people who are on the monster side controlling this whole thing by themselves. So I think it's three different groups of people here that we're dealing with.
I did have another theory, right, about what this whole thing is. So when Boyd basically says that he's a base builder, and that Abby is a Marine, I, for some reason, thought that perhaps the whole thing's an experiment. It's a psychological experiment where, in Fallout, the games, there's this section, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a machine that puts you into this very much a 1950s, 40s kind of perfect space, and one person has control over it. It's a psychological thing. It's an experiment to see how people get on. And again, if there's no electricity, but there's still lights and stuff like that, that might explain that, where there's no cables. But you would think that you would put that into a simulation, if you wanted to make it realistic. I don't personally think it's aliens. I want to ask you in a minute why you think it's aliens. I've been meaning to watch the rest of your theory videos. Not had the time this week. But the other thing would be a simulation to see and see how far you can push a human psychology. There's been plenty of experiments out there done by the US government and other governments in the past to see how one can push someone beyond breaking point. If you take a broken person, can you make them better? Because the town does make people better in some ways. You do see that they come together more. There's no technology. There's no, phones or anything like that. You're basically having to interact with everybody, which is really refreshing. I like that. I love that. Government experiment, possibly. Why do you think it's aliens? Tell me why.
Well, there's numerous reasons why I think this. And again, I've done video, but I will go through some of them with you real quick. Let me see if I can pull something up for you.
While you're doing that, I want to say to your mum, right?
Yep, right.
Mama Teflon, you have raised a very, very good son. And I'll give you this. When we were at Con of Thrones, he looked after me. You know, my ass was a mess. I was full of anxiety and all that, but he had my back. He made sure that I ate. He was there. He was total gentleman, 100%. You should be absolutely proud of him. He made sure everybody enjoyed themselves and, you know, was there being like the life and soul of the party. But he was also taking care of people, and I absolutely respect that. You know, for me to come all the way from Scotland to go to a place that I don't have a clue about, and for him to be there and just be there and be supportive. This man bought my books, and he paid way more than the price than they actually are. He was just like, you know what? Here, just have $100. Like, who are you? Why are you giving me this money? But he's definitely sweet. I mean, if anyone wants to see that interview I did with him, it's on my channel somewhere.
It's on there. It's one of the second, I think, biggest video. All right, so this is a picture. This is a picture of the Faraway tree, the book. If people want to see it, the Magic Faraway Tree collection. This is what it's about. People living. This is 3 books in one. So if you bought this collection, you get all 3 books and stuff. But that's what that looks like if you're looking for. So if you look at everything that's done, if you look again, everything. And when I interviewed the lady who plays Donna. All right, we did an interview with her. We had her on the stream, and we talked to her, and she said specifically to us that everything. Her name is Liz Saunders. Go follow her on Twitter, everybody. But everything on that set is completely built. Nothing there. They didn't go somewhere and put it. So everything there is completely built, which means that everything there is put there for a reason. When you look at the hotel is called Starlight or Star something. That's that. When you look at the candy bar that the priest found when they showed the picture of the candy bar, I was going to pull it up. I'm going to try to find and pull it up. You can see that it's called Out of This World Chocolate, and there's an alien floating on a flying saucer on the chocolate bar. All these things, when you look at Victor's lampshade, it's all stars and North Stars all on the lampshade. If you look at the wallpaper inside of Victor's room is in the shape of rocket ships. So there's many more things than that, but if you look at everything that they're doing, they are pointing out things that look like alien technology, and I don't think that it's coincidence that everything is pointing out. Is even if you look at the sign, I could pull it out. There's a sign when people are walking by, you can see it looks like a little green man and someone standing next. So they have all these hits and all these things like that I believe are trying to push you to let you know that this now, it could be alien technology. It could be aliens who have taken over this little town to do experiments on these people. And I think that the boy in white was one of the experiments, but he got away. And that's why they're trying to track him down. They can't catch him. Every time the boy in white comes out, these dogs come out all of a sudden. The boy in white seems to be able to teleport without the use of a faraway tree, right? When Victor sees him, he's sitting down on type of the merry-go-round. He waves at him, he spins around, he's gone, he disappears. So somehow he has this ability to get away, just like the faraway tree, but not being in the faraway tree, which makes me think that it's actually some type of experiment that they performed on someone, and he manifested this power, they gave it to him, and now he's escaped and everything else. So that is the reason why I do believe that it's aliens. It's not just something I just think of. I think that they are giving you subtle hints and subtle clues that it's most likely aliens.
That would also kind of explain why
again, real quick, and again, if you look up the title of it, the genre of it, it says it's a scientific horror. All right, is what it says. Science fiction horror is what the genre of it calls for. So we've seen the horror, but we have not seen the science fiction.
The science fiction part is determining where they are. It doesn't have to be aliens. It doesn't have to be. It constitutes science, philosophy, talking about dimensions, different realities. You know, academia. That's what that comes into. Yeah, I would also add. I would add to your theory about the aliens, although I'm not really convinced as of yet. But because the monsters are all in period costumes or dresses from, say, about the 1920s to about the 60s, you know, and it kind of stops there. There might be one or two in the 70s. But they kind of stop about there and I'm not entirely sure what that is, but there's a lot of talk about aliens and things about that, extraterrestrials around those eras.
Mhm.
So that might be something else that
Well,
works into
also, you
there.
know, when Tabitha walks up the lighthouse and she has the vision, on that vision there are like 13 or so dates that are carved into the wall. I looked up every one of those dates, and every one of those dates coincide to someone spotting a UFO in every one
Okay.
of those dates.
Okay, another thing about that, the thing that I spotted apart from the dates is the symbolism. Okay, so she's walking up a tower, right?
Hmm.
And you see her husband hanging upside down from his foot. Now, those are two very important uh, cards from a tarot deck, the tower and the fool. So the tower is basically where everything comes crashing down. Everything that had a solid foundation is basically burning to the ground. It's going to start again. You know, it's a renew the cycle. The the hanged man is about seeing a different perspective. It's looking at a different way of looking at things rather than the way you are already. These two in tandem are big warnings for change and for you to change who you are and your attitude. I don't understand the dates personally when it comes to them being on the tower, unless they are some sort of cycle of change or restarting whatever the thing is that's going on. But there's heavy witchcraft, divination, symbology going on here as well. I need to go back through the show and see if I can find any more, because they're from the minor arcana, which is the small part of the deck, of a tarot deck, and the other ones are like your suit cards, so your coins, wands, swords, and cups. So you've got all those ones there. The major arcanas are there, and also the cards of the minor arcana represent and coincide with the archetypes of the unconscious mind, the psychology, and things like that. They're all part of that and have connections to that. So I reckon that there'll be more in there that I've not noticed. But it was the minute I seen her husband hanging upside down and her walking up the steps, my brain was going off like light bulbs, just like, holy shit, more witch stuff. I know that. I love when that happens. I absolutely adore the show, but I'm solidly going to I disagree with the alien theory for now until I see something that's a bit more proof, because there's a lot more theology in here, unless they can work the aliens in and the aliens are the gods. So we're talking like ancient aliens type thing going on, you know, the dude with the hair and it's aliens, man, it's aliens.
No, I don't want you this to come on the board, because I want you to believe what you believe, and I want you to bring
Yeah,
your stuff to it and everything. Also, if you also look at the thumbnail, the picture on the thumbnail, and you see the alien, that's the alien who comes through the top of the roof when Jim has that vision. That's also the same exact position that Jim is in when he's inside. The same thing. The alien comes in and screams. Jim does that exact same thing. He comes from there and screams in the exact same way there too. Luna says, if that theory of experimental testing is true, are the people actually physically in the town, or are they some type of pod? Now, we have heard somebody say that they are in a pocket dimension during the show. That's what he theorized that. So the guy who acted, and a funny fact, Lauren, because you don't know, so that guy, that's the guy that Donna punched in the face, who said that, who was messing with Ellis. That is actually our husband in real life.
yes.
Yeah, so she got the punch of husband in real life.
I had a feeling these guys were a bit too close. There's just something about the acting where she can just go up and tell them to shut the fuck up without blinking.
Shorty Womp Womp says it's not aliens. Shorty Womp Womp, you have the right to be wrong too. Don't worry, girl.
You have the right to be wrong.
I'm coming for all you when it's going to. But you have the right to think anything you want, because I don't know, no one knows. I like to hear everything and stuff like that. So we could all get out there and everything else and come in there. If you think it's a fae, and you think it's some fairy stuff, there's a lot of things that point to it. Again, I put 2 things out in my video that I just released that point towards that. So I'll put out anything that I see. I'm not just trying to be right. I'm just trying to get it right in the end. So Jade's shirt is representative of Schrodinger's cat. That is correct. We heard that whole theory going there. That is no doubt about it. And again, when Jade first got there, I remember Jade is the smartest person there, presumably. That's what they're going by. And his first thing when he got there was that he thought that this was an escape room that was made up by Toby, right? First thing out of his mind, this is some type of escape room. It could be some type of escape room. It could be some huge experiment escape room. It could be something like that, without a shadow of a doubt. So let's not just throw that out there and think that that's not the case. It could be something else like that, you know what I mean, and everything else. And somebody in here said this is the first time they see me in a long time, and I've been here for a long time. I don't know where you went, but I've still been here, but glad that you're back and everything else. So what number are the years that, what if the number of the years are not years, but coordinates with Bible passages? I don't know. I would have to look that up. But all I can tell you about it is that if you look at those years, that you can look at my video that goes up when she walks into every one of those years, there was a UFO sighting that was documented in some type of paper. Everyone, not just 1 or 2 of them, every one of them was documented in some newspaper article that someone seen a UFO. What up to Lamont? Good to see you too. You know what I mean? So that's why when I look at it, to me, that's what it's going to be. We'll see if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I eat the chip. I eat the hottest chip in the world, one of them, if I'm wrong, live on stream, right? If I'm wrong, that's how much I'm ready to go. I'll do it. You know, I'm not worried about it. I'll do it. Well, this has been going on for a while. We'll see, and everything else and stuff like that. Eddie T is like, what is show? I'm believing. This show is called From. It's on MGM Plus. It deserves more pub than it actually gets. It's a great show.
Also, if you're in the UK, you can also get it on Now TV, and I'm pretty sure you can buy some of the episodes on Amazon as well. Mm-hmm. I'm poor, so I went through a backdoor situation to get access to it, and I'm not sharing the goods because YouTube will not be happy with
Canada, it's on Paramount Plus, is what they told me, the people in
Canada.
But
I highly recommend watching this. I have watched so many TV shows over the years. I've covered a lot of TV shows over the years, and it's very rare that a TV show hits the nail on the head in an opening scene, an opening episode, and keeps it consistent. I'm a writer by trade, more or less, and for me, the writing on this TV show is brilliant, especially for new watchers who want to come in. There's a lot of signposting, a lot of explanations, a lot of things are openly asked and not left a mystery. I love that they made the family basically have a whole wall of questions that you get to see as you're going past, and it makes you think. And I think that's something that the writers do want, is you want you to be psychologically invested in asking questions and using your mind and using your brain to work out what's going on. I think that's part of an education they're giving you. As well as making you interested and giving you a reason to put down your phone and watch the show and be invested. Because when you're watching this, at least for me, nothing else exists. It's intense. It's relatable. It's anything can happen at any point. And you're still going to be surprised, no matter how many shows, the horror shows that you've watched, and you know about all the horror tropes and things. This is something that, is very niche, but is absolutely deserves all the awards that it gets. But again, my fear is that it might end up like Lost.
Oh no, they'll learn from their mistakes.
I hope so, because I really would not like this show to be dragged out. I would actually ideally like it to be like the Netflix series Dark, where they do a couple of seasons and then boom, done. Right? I don't want to be 12 seasons in and then we don't know what the fuck's going on, and I will be asking for the rest of my life back.
I can't see them doing 12. I could see 5 the most of this show, and
Yeah.
then that would probably be it. When we look at this picture on screen, here is a good look at one of these. So aliens, monsters, whatever you want to call it, we'll go with. We'll just say monsters because most people like it's easier. But you can see clearly here that this person in their regular form, right? So they have the ability to switch forms to look like normal people, but in their regular form. Now we don't know what that is. If that's some type of glamour, it would probably have to be some type of glamoring that they have the ability to change into these people. In their regular form, you can see that they're bald-headed. Every one of them is bald, right? They look kind of grayish. They have big teeth, big eyeballs. To me, when I look at these people, that looks like a modern day take on a gray alien right here. So let's try to zoom in a little closer so we can see it clearly exactly what's going on here. Eyes are sunken, huge eyes. Doesn't really have a nose, kind of a nose, huge teeth, and the claws grow on the arm, on the hands too. All right, so this is exactly what they look like when they're in their regular true form, not the form that we see them walking around at and everything else like that, you know. So if people are saying grays have tiny mouths, we don't know what the grays actually have because we never even seen the gray, you know. Everything could be a spin. We don't know exactly what it is and everything else. But to me, the pale skin could be the reason why they cannot go out in the sunlight. The sunlight affects them. Again, when we looked at the War of the Worlds, and you deal with the War of the Worlds, and Earth is being taken over by the aliens in that show, and we cannot defeat the aliens. It was the bacteria that was naturally on the planet that killed them, and they weren't used to it, and that's how they had to back out. This could be the same thing dealing with the sun. It could be the sun that kills them. I think their skin just is too pale for it or something like that. It could be a situation dealing with that. And that's the reason why they're not allowed to come outside during the daytime and they only attack during the night. Or if it's a game, it could just be a game. And the game plays that you guys are safe until sunset. And when the sun sets, that's when they come out and then the game is on. That could just be all this rules of the game. It could be a rule of the game that the talismans don't actually work, but they're just part of the game. And it's a safe space when you have the talisman. So the thing about the talismans too, that is a little bit crazy about it is that I don't know if they messed up or it's two different things. It seems that you have to be in the 4 covered walls, but it doesn't have to be exactly 4 walls altogether, because when Boyd, because we also interviewed Pega, who plays Fatima, she was on the channel, and she said that when she went and she took Ellis in that room, that at that time they had no idea if that would actually work. That she would said that we're gonna die together. That's the way she played the role, thinking like, hey, we don't know if this is gonna work, but if they're gonna die, they're gonna go out together. And they put themselves in the 4 rooms, hung the talisman up, had to be hanging this talisman. Every time they do it, it has to be hanging up. They can't just be holding it. It has to be hanging up for some reason. Even when they're inside the tent, it's hanging up. When it's on the wall, it's hanging up. When it's in the RV, it's hanging up. So something is there about it when it hangs up. Right.
I can answer that, right? So when you're creating a protection spell, you do it with intention. You have to bring in all the essential items to build a protection spell or a curse or boundary. So again, we're talking about, like the magic circle or the circle of salt, which is protection, and to keep whatever good in or bad out, etc. When you put the talisman up, right, and you've locked the boundaries that you're in, so all the boundaries from the inside to the outside. So she shuts both doors, the front door and the internal door, right? And they're in a box, right? It's not necessarily 4 walls, but it has boundaries. The minute you put that talisman up with intention, you can see she puts it up with intention. She puts her hand to it and she prays and she goes, basically she goes, come on, please, 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 please. That stone, that talisman is imbued with intention, with energy, with, you know, the magical presence of a god. If I am correct about the runic symbol, it's a message from God. The message from God is basically it's a protection symbol, protecting the family lines, protecting the family trees, and forbidding anyone else to enter. You put that up and say it forms like a shield barrier, you know. You put that up, it's a shield barrier. The way Boyd puts it up in the tent, he does it with intention and with hope and creates a shield barrier and stops anything from getting in. I don't necessarily think it's four walls. I think it's about having a boundary, keeping you away. The tent might have four sides and a bottom, etc., but it's made of fabric. You know, it's in common sense. You should be able to get into that, no problem. Cut right through it. They should be able to get into past wood and stuff like that, no problem. But it's that talisman, the intention, that keeps them out. It's that warning, that curse, the thing that creates the barrier, the magical, spiritual barrier from them getting in. It's the good versus evil, you know, it's whatever it is. Again, as I said, it can be used to keep them out or it can be used to trap them in. So whatever's controlling the monsters, hypothetically, could have been in that whole cave thing where he found where Boyd found the talismans, and it was meant to be in there, and then got out at a certain point and started creating whatever this is, and then this whole system of where they are is just a massive trap. But the talismans themselves are locks.
Right, and what you see, boy, when he falls into the cave, there is no front entrance, but there are vines hanging in front of it. Right, and then the monsters look at him through the vines, but they don't come in after him. They don't play. And when she goes in there, when Fatima's in there with Ellis, and she's like, "Please, please, please," the monsters specifically say, "Oh, you're not having fun anymore. Like it's a game. Like, oh, now we can't have fun with you. We can't play with you." And you see when they killed that one chick, the good-looking girl, you know, they started touching her hair first and everything else, and then they just ate her alive. And it seems like they pull the rib cage out when they eat them. It seems like that rib cage purposely gets pulled out.
No, they take the tongue out first.
No, I'm not first. I'm saying in general when they're dead.
Generally, they go for the
rib cage open.
I had to explain this to my partner because I was telling him about what I was watching. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the VFX are doing this are really good. I mean, the way the monsters eat the humans, they leave them looking like a chicken after a barbecue. You know, when everybody's like had their bit and the chicken carcass is like just sticking out with its ribs and the legs, everything's kind of picked off and there's bits of meat still kind of hanging on. That's what that looks like to me, but in human form. And he's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. Yeah, they seem to go. It's almost like piranhas if you think about it.
The mouth looks kind of like the piranha's mouth too. I could see that.
Yeah, the way they scoop them out.
It could be some type of, DNA merging with stuff and experimenting with DNA to create a certain type of life. And maybe they have some type of piranha DNA in them that gives them that. And then some type of claws and situation out there, at the island of Dr. Moreau, with merging human beings' DNA with other creatures from the planet, and they're coming out in there. And it could be a situation like that. But again, then who would be the people that are merging the DNA and who are doing these tests and performing these tests? And it would have to be aliens in the end, to me. Again, Pornstash's not girlfriend, but the monster that bites his tongue out does say, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be like this. This is what it is. And that's it. So, which I think is telling. Again, it's hard to say what they're saying is true because they say what they need you to hear. Whatever you want to hear, they say it in order to get to you. And that was it. And as soon as that window was open, even though they had the talisman downstairs, once the window was open, whatever it is broken. The spell is broken. That happens with the little girl in the beginning. She opens the window to the grandmother.
She broke the boundary. That's what she did. She broke the boundary. You break the boundary, you break the circle, and then you can let pretty much anything in, and it will take you out, haunt you for the rest of your life. You get weird fuckers playing about with Ouija boards, and they expect to come away from it okay, without casting a magic circle first. The basic thing is, don't fuck with that shit. Frank nailed the windows shut. I don't know why anybody else in the town didn't nail all the windows shut. If that was the rules,
And also when you deal with we'll jump real quick to Sarah, and because Sarah's getting the visions. Now again, I think the visions, she's misinterpreting them. I think when they say kill the boy, it may not be Ethan. They may be talking about the boy in white.
The boy in white.
But because when they specifically wanted her to kill Toby, like whoever this voice was talking to her told her to kill Toby. That's why she goes into the hospital and she stabs this guy right in his neck. And then after she stabs in the neck this guy, they tell her to make it look like the creatures did it. And she cuts the whole rib cage open and then leaves the door open, which then winds up getting the heavy-set nurse killed and Kenny's father killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Sarah's a crazy person. I don't know about Sarah. She's suspect. She's very stabby. I don't know about her. But why would they want this particular person killed? Why did they specifically say they want Toby dead? Why him out of all the other people? Why him?
More to that, why did they want access to the clinic to get to Kenny's dad and get to the nurse? I mean, I think the nurse was just collateral, to be honest.
Yeah, the nurse was collateral. They wanted that. I think so. What they were telling her was they wanted her to cover her tracks so they didn't think that she did it. It was Toby that they wanted dead. And then they told her to cut the body up and leave it open. Which is what that means. So they told her to specifically cut the body up and make it look like the monsters did it, which means that monsters will not eat anything that's already been killed. If it's killed, they're not going to eat it. It has to be alive for them to do it. That's why she had to do that. And she left the door open, and then that's when everyone else got killed. But it was specific that they wanted this guy, Toby, killed. Why did they want Toby killed? That's a mystery that we don't know, but there's something that happened that they wanted him dead for some reason he couldn't make it.
Or it's a distraction method, It's like a black flag event, if you want to call it. Let's look at government stuff. Black flag event, we're doing something over here, but we want you to look over there, so we can get this thing done without you paying attention because we're making something else happen over here. If they wanted Toby dead, they could have just said, oh, we'll leave the door open for us. They didn't have to make it look like they killed him. They could have just did that. But when they got in, they looked at him, but Annette went straight for downstairs. I think they wanted Kenny's dad more than they wanted Toby dead. Unless we're going back to family trees, we're going back to witchcraft, Norse mythology, all that type of thing. And everybody in here is related to each other or related to somebody who was previously in the town beforehand. And there's some sort of, familiar connection. And Toby was one of those important people. That's the only other way I can say that. But I think Toby was a distraction. And a way to show that Sarah was committed to doing and following through on what the monsters wanted. But they also wanted to get to Kenny's dad because Kenny's dad also had a mental health issue. I think it was dementia or something like that. He had that. Mm-hmm. And he knew the place was scary. He knew the place was something different. People with things like that are more sensitive. So you got other people with mental health issues that are more sensitive, like Abby, Boyd's wife, thought that if she killed everybody, they would wake up.
Yes.
I think she was partially right. The way she communicates through Sarah, if it is actually her, would mean that there is a different level to the game, to the existence of wherever they are, the dimensions of where they are, and there's a way to communicate and connect across that. Why the monsters necessarily want to take out certain people, my only guess would be due to family ties, that they would be a problem for the longevity of their survival, because they, as monsters or creatures, are fulfilling a a primordial need to feed
Mhm.
and to exist and to, I don't know about procreate, but continuing their bloodline,
Mhm.
whatever they are. That's also a theory that could be played on that. But you really need to question their motives for wanting Toby killed. Is he the main target or is he not?
All right, yeah. So again, it's you got to understand we're dealing with two different things. You have the monsters themselves, and then you have who sleep during the daytime, right? So it's not them telling you. There's a voice in the head coming to her, telling the one that's telling to kill the boy and to kill Toby. That's the same voice. And then she heard another voice. It was a woman's voice. All right. The next voice here was a woman's voice. She said specifically, and she does say that she was wrong about that the dream thing. The lady said she was wrong, and she calls him Mr. Fishing Lobe, which is the nickname that he has, so she would be the one to know it. But again, they also had these people when Sarah was being possessed and had to draw the candy bar. They took control of her. They were able to possess her body, and it hurt her. She was and they were doing this, hurting her and forcing her to draw this. So somehow someone has the ability to do some type of possession, and they seen the priest bury that, right? So they would have had to see something when he called them Mr. Fishing Lobe. They said that while they were driving there. So somehow they were able to hear that. Whether they're able to hear it through the radio system or something, we don't know. But somehow they're able to hear these things and everything else. But we don't know exactly how they are all the same people and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different people here. Again, I think the monsters are just the
Their vehicle.
yeah, they're just their vehicle to these people. They're this part to kill. And it wasn't an attack in what, like almost 100 or so longer days until that girl went out there and the father fell asleep at the bar and they were looking for him. And then she removed the curtain and then it wasn't nailed shut. And her window wasn't nailed shut for some reason and stuff, you know. So until then, there hasn't been an attack for a very long time. No one died. No one, they had it all. They had everything set. Everyone was living the way it was supposed to go, and it worked for all these days or years or whatever it was that.
I would also say the thing
96
that
days or less
the
like.
possession of Sarah doing the drawing, I think it's called auto dictation or something like that. But it's also a form of astral projection where you can
Yep.
project yourself into someone's body and then communicate through that way, or spirit, or like a kind of spirit control possession of that. But it all stinks of witchy kind of mentality. I think there's more than one main player in this. There's got to be different groups going on. There's too much going on for it just to be controlling under one person or someone at the top, you know. And I definitely think there's different levels to this labyrinth game dimension, whatever you want to call it.
No, I agree. There's definitely, and people say I think it's three different. I think it's three people that we're seeing because I do think that guy that's hanging up there on the wall, that the ZZ Top dude, is one of the people communicating. They have him locked up for some reason, and it's not these monsters that have him locked up like that. It's something else that has him locked up like that, and we just don't know why this person is being locked up there. So it's something going on there. The ZZ Top guy. He's definitely something going on with him.
I want to ask you about Jade's vision while they're
Yep.
trying to climb the tree and put the antenna up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are Civil War, I think, Civil War
Yeah,
costume.
the Civil War people.
Is that Northern Army?
That was the Northern Army that attacked the black guys from the Northern Army.
Right. What do you think about that scene? Obviously, it's not something that I'm very knowledgeable of that era, and I know the uniforms and I know the basics. The remind me, see the black guy that's in the blue uniform.
Yeah.
Is that like a Boyd, another version of Boyd? Is that a totally different guy?
That's not Boyd. It's somebody else dressed up like that. But I could say that we did go through this in the last stream on one of the papers. Let me see if I had Googled it. Let me see if it's still. But on one of the papers that are there, what is the name of this place? What is it? That's too many things. I looked at too many things after that.
Luna.
But one of the papers that are there, it's like Allentown, South Carolina, Virginia, something like that. We can see the name of it. And that name is where that's the first people to succeed and start the Civil War for right there in that one place that they're at that's in the paper. But the paper is crazy because it says that people were dressed in full chainmail and still got killed. So whoever's in it was in chainmail and got killed. How they had in chainmail at this time, who knows? But they got killed in this country. But they still Abbeville, South Carolina, blessed life. Thank you. So I think you're correct on that one, right? So that is what that. The one thing I could say about it, it is the best depiction of a weirwood tree when you see the trees hanging, the people hanging in the trees upside down, the blood dripping of them. I mean, well, obviously Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire fans, and people talk about the weirwood tree hanging entrails. That's the best depiction of it that we ever seen ever of that happening. But we see the blood that drips on him. He sees the blood again. The symbol pops. The same symbol that keeps popping up. That's in the picture is there too. And then after that, we see the Civil War guy can actually see him, hunts him down, and bayonets him right in the stomach. All right, and then disappears after that. Again, if we look at the one bottle that's in there, they open the bottle, and there's a date on the bottle. I don't know specifically, but again, that date, there is a newspaper article on that date of an alien, a UFO sighting on that date too. So I know that for fact.
Did you find anything else about that date though? That wasn't alien related.
Listen, it could be. I'm not saying it's, it could be, but it just so happens that all these dates have UFO sightings on those dates. So it's hard to say exactly what that vision. I tried to explain it the best that I could. I know that the one when he's inside the bunker and the guy screams at him with blood in his mouth and he's inside of the boulder. I think that person was, as Victor said, he says specifically, it could put, when you go in a faraway tree, you don't never know where you're going to go. It could put you inside of a rock. And that guy, I think, was placed inside the rock, and that's how he got crushed to death. And I think that's why that's there. But again, there's someone manipulating these faraway trees, because when you see Victor, he says specifically, you never know where you're going to wind up when you go inside a faraway tree. You can go anywhere. But he takes the rock, he puts a smiley face on the rock, and he drops it in the tree. Now, he knew that was going to drop close, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have put the smiley face on. He's trying to convince Ethan that something happens, and then the rock drops from the sky like a few feet from them, right? So at this particular time, he must have known, or someone's listening to him knew exactly what he was trying to do to show him, because that rock could have wound up on the other side of Nebraska, right? But it's ended up right there, and it dropped right there, and he went over there, and he grabbed it, he picked it up, and he showed it to him saying, see. So again, there's someone listening to this whole conversation and doing certain things for him and everything else, because if not, that rock would have went somewhere else. Again, you could say it was just meant to forward the story, but to me, by him saying it could end up anywhere, and just so happens that it ends up right there next to him, there's somebody listening to them, and I don't think it's random where you're winding up in these rocks. I think certain people they're putting inside the trees, and certain people they're putting, like Boyd. I don't think it's random that Boyd got into that what looks like a well to me, in this well.
It looks like a chimney to me.
It did look like a chimney to me when I first seen it, but when you look at the picture that they just released, there's a rope hanging straight down. Looks like a well rope with a bucket. And you don't see the bucket, but it looks like one of them well ropes with the bucket right there. Like you go down and you put the bucket.
Unless someone's pushing him out.
If someone dropped that rope down to him, someone had to drop the rope down to him, and there's no way the rope just automatically appears. But they do show that right there and everything else. What up to Muhammad, my brother from another mother, up in there? Hi, Lawrence Corner.
What is ARA?
I don't know what ARA for the ever long live the ARA. I don't know.
Muhammad, you're going to need to explain this to me.
I think he will. David S says wells aren't square. We don't know what's going on here. We'll see what it is. We'll see what it is. I
think it's the chimney in Colony House.
It could be the chimney in Colony House. It could be that. I don't know. It could be. We shall see if he's stuck, because it can't be that, because if you look at my one video that I did of where Boyd is and stuff like that, you could I broke down exactly everything, especially in the video where you see him with the torch, the medieval torch and everything else. You see that same brick structure is when he's talking to the guy that looks like the ZZ Top. It's the same exact brick structure up there when he's there. And you can see those torches are hanging up on the wall. So he must come up from that well or whatever, chimney if you want to call it, and grab the torch for whatever reason. And then you see him with the torch outside, and the torch is out. He's at night, so he must be nighttime. He takes the torch, and then all of a sudden, he sees that the monsters are out, so he doesn't want to be spotted, so he puts the torch out. And that's the reason why he puts it out. So that would be the only reason I could see. So that whole thing is connected. So somehow this is the way it goes and everything else. And he says the iron army.
Mohammed, did you mean the IRA?
Maybe that's what he meant.
Not the ARA. And I'm Scottish, and yeah, my uncle fought against the IRA, and that was not a good position. But I hope that's not what you're meaning, and I'm not offended. I'm just making it clear to you. I don't align.
Yeah, she's not Irish. She's Scottish. She's Scottish. The
only person who gets the joke about me being Irish is him, is Tony, because he does it all the time. It's a running joke. It's a running gag.
I have messed up many a times and said but she's Scottish. Like Sean Connery's Scottish, correct?
I'm Scottish. I'm Scottish.
And so was Sean Connery. He was Scottish.
The first time I met Tony, here's a wee side story. I was speaking normally in my normal tone, right? Not YouTube speak tone like I am right now. And the guy had to tell me to stop speaking like a pirate. But my argument was, where do you think the pirates came from? Where the fuck did they come from? Scotland.
I didn't know it was a gag or not. I don't know, but he did sound like a pirate.
I did. I'm speaking normally, and I reply to somebody, I no bother. You're going to hear Pirates of the Caribbean if you've watched those movies. That's what you think of pirates. Yar and all that. It's a colloquialism, but I also say to you that you talk like a gangster because you're from New York.
Yeah, I hear you. There's no doubt about it, and I accept that 100%. Let's go into it. When Boyd is with Sarah and they're inside the tent, all of a sudden the tent gets dragged and pulled somewhere. What do you think is dragging them? Do you know what you think it's dragging them? Do you have anything?
I don't know. I have nothing.
I think it's a giant spider that's grabbed them and pulled them there.
When I saw the big spider webs, my brain instantly went back to the giant spider from Lord of the Rings. I can't remember what its name is, but I thought that. But there's a lot of Lord of the Rings and Tolkien kind of under subtext in this show as well, with Ethan and his fantasy books and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The spiders are I've not quite figured that out yet, but I do know about Anansi, which is an African tale. Anansi is basically the god of stories. He's a trickster god, basically. That's as far as I got with that. And I'm not entirely sure where that's going, but it did freak me the fuck out.
So we other day we did a stream. I did all of Victor's pictures. Let me pull up some of Victor's pictures for you real quick right now, and then we can talk about it. So right here, when we look at these pictures right here, let me see if I can get a little closer view for you. All right. So So right here, it looks like for some reason we see that it's a dome right here, like inside of a globe, a snow globe. And we see the town. What it looks like to me down here, maybe the monster's lair. And it seems like this is water, because I think that right up here, this is a body floating in the water. That's what it looks like to me in there. And underneath there, it seems like there's a giant spider right here.
That bottom picture reminds me of the Itsy Bitsy Spider nursery rhyme.
Going up the water spout?
Uh-huh. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Mm-hmm. That might be something to look into. I need to look up the rest of that rhyme.
Itsy bitsy spider goes up the water spout. Down came the rain and watched the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. If I do remember my childhood correctly. But I think another more interesting picture is this. Look, could they be in some type of dome? This is just saying that why would he draw this dome, this situation again? What is Victor drawing these pictures of? Is he getting visions of these pictures, or is he drawing things that he's already seen? And why would he draw this as a snow globe? The town itself inside of a snow globe is weird to me. We'll go through a couple of more real quick. Again, here's a picture of the boy in white in the back of this. Again, it's a better picture of the spider right there. We'll go through some more. This is the people who were killed. This is the girl from the beginning because she has the teddy bear next to her and them eating out. And again, the snow globe, the picture of the spider right there. This is a picture of Boyd when he found the goat. Right here, that's him on that one in the forest. It's a better picture of Boyd in there. This is the tree. This is from the beginning scenes, the tree with the crows. I think this could be Victor and his sister back in the day. I think Victor lived in this town because when you look at this picture, they're very happy. They have the dog that we keep seeing, and then we see it's nighttime out in the sky, and they're happy to be out. So could it be Victor and his sister,
or
the boy in white?
Is it Victor's parents?
It could be Victor's parents.
Because the way they're standing, they are very similar stature and height. There's the house behind them. There's the dog. If this was him and his sister, he would be dressed differently. You know, he would have specific clothes on that indicate that it is Victor. Where's the lunchbox? You know, where's the child aspect? I would say that this is more likely to be his parents with the dog before they had him. What that says about what we'll see in season 2, who knows?
It's the same dog that we see with the boy.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same exact dog, right? And everything there. We'll go on. I won't do all the pictures because we did them last year. I don't want to bore people. Again, this is the picture in the beginning. It looks like the boy in white, but when we get to the top, to me, this face looks like Victor's face. So I don't know why Victor would draw himself as the boy in white. Crows. This yellow house seems to be the one that's haunted because it's always got something going on with this yellow house. There's something going on with that yellow house. The diner. This is the church. The girl got her arm ripped off that she gets killed in the beginning with the teddy bear. Some victim dead. This is the person right here, and this is where we see in the article in the back when we tried to zoom in. Do I have a better picture of that? Yeah, I do. When you zoom in, this is where we were reading the stuff from this right here. This was, to me, looks like a guy who was transported into the rock. And it says something right here. It says something here. Someone was arrested on the night. And we did this the other day. Now I can't see it. They were brought to the police building. This is where it says someone used the door, but the door wasn't broken in before the path turned late. Shots fired from both sides, and the men, and it says shots fired from both sides, suddenly killing, saying someone's name, said his men wore suits and chainmail, yet they were killed on the spot. Both brothers were wounded. So how they're firing shots and it's how the people wore suits of chainmail, who knows? I don't know what any of that means, but it's something going on there in these words and stuff like that.
Each was turned into that looks like slave. Or sleeve, a sleeve.
Well, up here.
It's up a couple of lines up, just where the skull's kind of cheekbone is.
Oh, So right around here.
Up, no, up, up, up. You know where the line from the eye is coming down?
Oh, down here.
Yeah. Into a sleeve.
It says
Short
both. I know
spread.
this says fired from both sides.
Eye from both sides.
And then this, I think this is a name of someone, because this is someone's
Cantala.
name.
Cantala.
Sudeikla. Sutherland said his men wore suits of chainmail, yet something in this Getdame was killed on the spot. Both brothers, something is too dark to see, wounded. And then down here it says the conspirators and everything. So yeah, it's hard to see.
That name is Sudekin, because that's definitely a K.
Yes.
Near the end.
Sudeiki. This is either A or an N.
Is that like is that not like an Iranian name or something?
Let's try to look up that name right now. Let's see if we can.
That sounds like something that's Middle Eastern.
Captain Sude. IK. So is it IN?
IN.
Let's see. There is someone named as Sergei Sudygin. The last name pops up. Serge Sudygin. It says he was known as Serge Sudygin, was a Russian artist and set designer associated with ballets and the opera. All right, so which that does tie into the music box, because the music box has a ballerina in the music box that we see. So I would say maybe it says captain.
If you look down, there is the word comrade.
Right down here, right.
Yeah, there's comrade.
It does.
So that would play into that.
So that would make it that it has something to do with some Russian.
Unless they're talking about like a play here. A play or a performance or a show that was put on.
Let me see if it's
depicting whatever battle or thing that's going on here.
Something's going on, but they're saying shots were fired and people wore chainmail. So when did people wear chainmail where there was still gunpowders?
People with money.
It says that the last name Sudygin is most found in Chechnya.
Chechnya,
yeah.
It's a part of Russia.
Yeah, it's Russian. It's a Russian name. Well, let's look at. Let's see if we can find something else. There's another one right here. Let's look at this one. Maybe you could see this one a little easier. Let me spin it first. I think the paper. No, I think I had it one time this way. That's upside down. I think one more. No, another turn. I think this may be it right here. This may be easier to see certain spots. Like right around here may be easier. Because we know this says William J. Bryant. Who is William J. Bryant?
William J. Bryant led the fight for adoption at his something blank, but it was buried after something day of delayed something by
Ford. It says William J. Bryant led the fight for adoption of his boundary plank. The other one's plank. I don't know what that word is. There's something plank, but it was buried somewhere day of debate, I think it says. So if it does say debate, that would make sense because William Bryant in real life was an American lawyer, orderer, and politician beginning in 1896. He emerged as the dominant force in the Democratic Party, running 3 times as the party's nomination for president in 1896, 1890, and 1908 elections. He was born in Salem, Illinois, and died in Dayton, Tennessee.
Witches, man. Witches, man. I'm telling you, fucking witches, man. And it also talks about a boundary that's buried down in the ground. I was just about to say that. It's not aliens, man. It's witches. It's witches. You telling me it's witches?
It's that. There's a place for rent up here. That's what that says, for rent. And I mean, the papers have to mean something. They're not just putting that stuff there. It's
Oh no, that's deliberate. They wouldn't put it on there if it wasn't, it's deliberate.
Exactly. So are we talking about the time, maybe, is what they're dealing with, what's deliberate, the time that it's there?
But what does it mean?
It says Virginia on the bottom here. Something Virginia.
The article itself, right? So what does the drawing mean? The drawing that's placed on top of it.
Let me circle it. So the drawing, to me, you see a person hiding underneath the bed. He's never depicted the monsters looking like this before. He always shows them looking like the regular monsters, but for some reason, it looks like the Grim Reaper searching for someone. And underneath, it looks like someone's either falling down the steps. It's like I fall and I can't get up. This person down there. Do another picture of it? I think so, right here. Let me spin it again. So it looks like someone's falling, they can't get up, and this person's searching for this person, and someone's hiding under the bed from them. And it's night. You can see it's nighttime outside, and he has the stars up here, and it's dark, so this is nighttime. So it could just be a depiction of one of the creatures, but why he drew the creature to look like this when he draws them every other time.
It looks to me almost like it could be death, but it also could be a form of like evil witch or banshee in this floating kind of dark presence searching. The thing below could be either a person that's trapped below or monsters. This looks like a basement level or whatever it is. But the fact that this is put on an article that's talking about a lawyer that's born in Salem and also, is talking about like fighting for a boundary.
Mm-hmm. Kenchery Bennett, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family. Luna saying that's after the Civil War. Yes, it is after the Civil War. So yeah, listen, I mean, we're just going through it. We're trying to figure it out. Yeah. That's all we can do is go through it. But those are the only articles that we can see. Again, I'm try to. Oh, it's upside down. Try to read something else from it if we can. I wish we can get this left side. Is there any way I could lighten the picture up? I don't think so. Can't make it shine any brighter than it already is.
Yeah, my glasses are not that good.
Yeah, it says, right here, it definitely says Republicans something convention. So it's definitely some type of Republican convention. So they're definitely talking about this time period. After the Civil War. This says right here.
Arizona down below. I can see the word Arizona down below, a couple of lines below the convention one. There.
Here it says Connecticut. Down here it says Virginia. Bryant owns. So I think they're talking about this guy Bryant. That's the real life character Bryant. Mm-hmm. I think they're talking about him because it has a lot to do with politics in here. And there's a place for rent here. For rent for something a month. It says right here, what's it say? 1318 Washington is the place for rent. So 1318 Washington.
I can see my name.
Can you? Yeah, right here.
Yep.
Lawrence. Dwelling something Lawrence. Well, it's all interesting. We don't know exactly what it all means. We've been through these pictures before. Again, that's Victor's lampshade with the North Star. It looks like on top of the lampshade or on it. If you zoom in, looks like the North Stars all over that lampshade there. Seems like people are waving back here with a monster, but they look like they're outside the house or something. The monster's in there. Who knows if that's the case? This one up on top looks like a Christmas scene, the Christmas tree with some presents outside, fireplace, rug, and it could be a monster outside there.
That could be talking about Frank and his family, because he was saying the last thing he remembered was Christmas.
Could be
and
that.
This
looks crazy because it looks like the boy in white with a woman in white and a dog next to him. This right here. It looks like the boy in white, a woman in white, and it looks like there's a dog next to him.
It could be a sister. I mean, again, we could come back to the concept of Freyr and Freya.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically twins in a way. So, I mean, one controls one side of the thing and the other thing. Fuck knows.
Yeah, this is a house on fire. We don't know what house it is, but some house.
That looks like Colony House. It's big.
It could burn down Colony House. That's a picture of the dog, the boy in white. The boy in white right there. And then the faraway tree. Boy in white, faraway tree, a dog, all in the same area right here. And then it has one more thing. So all these pictures have to be related. And this looks like a flood right here in the water that everybody looks like they got drowned out. So it could be a flood coming.
Down came the rain and washed the spider out.
It could be a situation like that, yes. But I won't go through it. I know y'all probably already did that, so I know y'all probably don't want to go through them again. And everything else, all that good stuff. All right, we've been through a lot. Yeah, we'll do 10 more minutes because usually around two hours is what we go on and stuff like that and everything else. Thanks everybody for joining. Lady Fairchild says that William J. Bryant was a lawyer and a well-known orator in the late 19th century and 20th century. Something going on with it. There's a reason why they put his name there. Maybe they're just trying to tell us about what time period this place. Again, when we deal with a lot of these people, especially the monsters, we see them in period costumes, right? So then we have Jade getting the vision of the Civil War guy who can see him and attacks him and bayonets him right in the stomach. Blessed Life is saying that they show pictures of colorful houses with normal looking trees. Then the same houses are lacking color and are surrounded by triangular trees. To me, the triangular trees are arrows pointing upwards, which is more evidence to me that it could be alien, that it is aliens. No could be about it in my book, but that's the way I see it. I think they more look like arrows more than trees and everything else. I know they're supposed to be trees, but I think it could be depicting of arrows. And when you look at the beginning of From, it shows that they're looking downward from the trees. You can see the trees and you can see like clouds or fog above the trees, and someone's looking straight down. And that's how the show starts and everything. So something's looking down at all this stuff and everything else. But who is looking down on them? Probably, I'm sure there's, definitely some red herrings in there, I'm sure. But again, the whole set was built by the people who made the show. So everything in it is placed in it for a reason. They didn't just stumble upon a place and say, this looks good for it. They built that set from top to bottom. So everything in there means something, or it would not be in there.
I would like to answer a question from Luna Cascade. Does Victor draw these pictures before the events or after? I think he does before. And he's not the only one that has artistic ability as well. I think that comes in line with the connectivity that people have to this place. So you've got there's lots of dreamers, you've got visions, you've got artists, drawings, psychic communication, there's mental health problems. And the people that mainly have that are Ellis, Victor, Abby, Jade, and Sarah, and Ethan as well. Victor seems to have this prediction ability, this a very different way of portraying things rather than Jade's visions, which are very visceral. You have this very childlike prediction possibility in these drawings. It's its own prophecy, if you will. Whether that is him creating, you know, having the power to create these circumstances is debatable. I don't think that is the case. He has far too much trauma. A lot of these people carry a lot of trauma with them, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. I think you'd have to be very conscious to be able to create drawings like that. And I think it's something that generally just haunts him. And he doesn't fully understand it because it is a subconscious trauma that is coming through his drawings. Again, he is very childlike. He is probably on the spectrum somewhere, and he finds it easier to connect with Ethan, who's more likely to believe him, not needing to suspend his disbelief. He's all in for the belief, the fantasy, the adventure.
Yeah, and also he needed Ethan to verify that the boy in white was real, because he always thought it was green, because no one else seen him until Ethan got there and was able to see him. He also said that the trees move, that the faraway tree moved, right? It's not staying in the same spot too. Will also mean something. Lady Fairchild saying, how long has Victor been there? He's been there the longest. We know he's the longest person that they know of that's been there. He's been there since he was a child with the lunchbox. You've seen he survived the initial massacre that was there, and he came out with the lunchbox and everything else. So Victor's been there since he was a child. That's why I think Victor could be an original member of this. He won't talk about his family. Every time his family gets brought up, he says he doesn't want to talk about it. He refuses to talk about his family. So something's got to go on there. What up, Tamara Chase, up in the building here, rocking with us, chilling with us and everything. What up, girl? Thanks for coming, stopping by. So, yeah, he's been there longer than everyone else. We do know that. Blue Water is saying set is not complete in pieces like the sign with no structure. Only pieces survive contact with another dimension. Hope Kenny's story grows. Reason that the bus is there to take Kenny's girlfriend away. I told everyone Kenny wasn't getting that girl. That bus is there to bring in his girlfriend, and that's just
it's also there to progress the story as well. I mean, you're going to start killing people off. You're going to need to refresh all the bodies that you need to keep the suspense, the intensity going within the writing itself. And I think bringing that bus in was perfect. And note the style of the bus as well. The it's a very 90s, early 2000s style bus, even by American standards. Like it's very particular choice for them to bring that in. The bus can be useful as a resource, but is also going to be an excellent plot driver as well. And it opens that possibility that you can bring other people that are connected to you or to the town or in a familiar bloodline sense back into the town, however that is or what that means.
Well, we do have it set up already. Just about it's set up. We don't have the date, but it's set up. It's already been agreed to that. We have Victor, the actor who plays Victor, will be coming on doing an interview here, so we'll have him on and stuff like that. And we have other ones too. I'm not going to say anyone. I'm not going to say anyone else. We have other ones coming on here too. So we'll have those. Again, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you'll be able to.
Getting all the people.
Trying, you got it. They love us. You know, the funny part was that when we spoke to Elizabeth, the lady who plays Donna, she said that they all watch my channel and they all, the whole set knows me. Like everyone knows you watch the channel because she said we don't know what's going on. So we like to hear your theories and see if it matches some of ours because we have no idea what's going on at all. Stuff like that.
Well, if they're watching this, just know that I'm a really big fan. I love Donna. I love all the cast. They're all really good actors. I'm severely invested. And if you ever need you, Tony, if you ever need an extra person to bounce off with in one of these interviews, I am here for that.
No doubt about it. We'll definitely have you on. Listen, we're gonna get the Smiley guy on. I'm gonna do my best to get him on, without a doubt. I got all his contact information, but we're gonna get the Smiley Muscle.
Oh no, he's going to watch this and see that I've called him a creepy bastard.
I called him Howdy Doody 1,000 times. Howdy Doody. He looks like Howdy Doody to me, the thing and everything else. But so we'll have more people on here. Again, be a subscriber if you want to ask them a question, because we'll have the call-in line open. And if you're a subscriber to the channel, you'll be able. And it'll be a subscriber stream. When we do the interview, it's going to go to subscriber mode, and then all the subscribers, when we start asking questions, will be able to ask questions and call in and everything else. All right, and that's what it is. But all right, let's get out of here. Again, let me thank Lauren from Lauren's Corner. That's the name of her channel. It's Lauren. This is her corner. And definitely subscribe to her channel and stuff. And Lauren, I don't know if you have any plans. I know she's a writer, she's an author. You have your books on hand and you can show them and stuff.
I don't know where they are right now. My office is an absolute mess because I kind of abandoned it after I finished my degree. So I've been doing other things. But yes, I have books. I'm a writer. I have poetry books. They're on Amazon. Just search up my name, Lauren Cullen. You'll be able to find them. Or if you're on my channel, look in the descriptions of my videos. You should be able to find the links there. If you are in different countries, be sure to make sure you change the dot after Amazon, because different prices will come up for different areas. So Canada, United States, UK, Australia, etc. I'm not actually doing anything on my channel at the moment. I'm open to be interacting with people that I know and love, like Tony here. But for now, I'm on a mental health sabbatical, looking after myself after I've done this big achievement. I'm like Tony, I'm in the gym most of the time, or I'm chilling with my kid, or playing Destiny, which you'll see me tweeting about a lot on Twitter. And rest in peace to Lance Reddick, who's just... I can't believe it. He's the voice of Commander Zavala in Destiny 2. If anyone wants to play with me, please give me a shout, send me a message. Apart from that, I am here.
He's Daniels in The Wire. I think a lot of people know him from that. Daniels on The Wire, and he's in the John Wick movies too. But he's always be Daniels in The Wire to me. Luna says, thanks for bringing a witchy tone at Teflon TV. You call me Tony, it's fine. Save a witchy perspective, Lauren. Hope you'll join us again, because we'll have Lauren back, no doubt about it. Again, I don't have people on here that disagree with me. I have people on here that have their own opinions, and that's what it's all about. I think what I think, but doesn't mean that I'm right. So
it's not aliens.
It will be alien, don't worry. But we'll see. But we'll have other people on here again. If you want to believe it's Iris lost, that is fine. Lauren's bringing the witch out. So if you want to bring what Lauren's Corner on Twitch, they're asking, is it a Twitch channel?
I do have Twitch. It's LS Corner, but again, I've not been streaming for a while. But if you follow me on Twitch, LS Corner, then I will update you at some point on when I get back to doing all that sort of thing. But for now, I'm enjoying in the real world, enjoying things that are not university based or academic learning, the things that I love to do. So do go have a look at that on Twitch.
And I'm dropping from videos every day, so you definitely see a new video. I'll have another video out Tuesday, Wednesday will stream, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Again, Lauren, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. If you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and of course subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace
and stay